So let me go ahead and start off. Who has seen us talk before? Raise your hand. Okay, so a good quarter. Wow. So for everybody else who hasn't, this is the official warning. We are not professionals. We might pace. We are probably going to stutter. And I can guarantee you we are 100% going to say those really annoying filler words everybody hates. Stop. That everybody hates. And there might be some potty mouth in there because of this guy. So please bear with us here. But we are here to give a good story. On top of that, this is not a presentation for the faint of heart. You guys may have seen some of our past presentations. They're typically lighthearted. We try to, give you guys a good presentation, but this one is definitely more heavy. So, audience discretion is definitely advised.
With that said, real quick, is there any children in the room? Raise your hand if there's a child under 18 next to you. We are family friendly, but this topic, we will dive into some stuff that is highly questionable.
Okay, I don't see anybody, so that's good. That's good news. Okay, with all of that being said, I will go ahead and start off by introducing myself. My name is Reese Tuttle. A little bit about my educational background, I should say. I started college at the age of 13 years old. I got my first bachelor degree at the age of 17, followed by 4 more different associates in different areas of computer science. I started my master's, and then I graduated high school. Don't know why I did that, but I did. After that, I became a threat researcher alongside him, and now I'm about to start my doctorate in forensic cyberpsychology, so that should be fun. Jesse, do you want to go ahead?
Well, that's just because you had a good dad that was a stay-at-home parent.
Yeah, it's because you're on house arrest, buddy. But
okay, I was on house arrest, so that's okay. So my name's Jesse. A little background, I'm probably better known on the internet over the last several decades as Hacka Jack, former member of the group Hackwiser, and early AP2T. Some of the current hacking groups may have given some rise to that. Sometimes people ask me, they're like, okay, what credibility do you have? What certifications? I don't really have any certifications other than anyone have more than 16 federal felonies? Okay. And dozens of college textbooks as case exercises, and yeah, it's kind of odd. And then caused more than, potentially, lawyer said I always have to say potentially, more than $2 billion in damage. Okay, cool. I'm the only one, like always. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So that's also, like I said, my father, Jesse. This is not a sales pitch. This is barely even a tech talk. I know, kind of weird. We're at a tech show. But the point of this talk is to raise awareness and spread the word about the reality and the really icky and nasty reality of the scammer community. So the scammer community, contrary to popular belief, is hackers and scammers just aren't the same thing. Scammers are financially motivated. They do it for the money. Hackers, not so much.
Scammers, I'm going to say it. If you're a scammer in here, we have no kids, right? If you're a scammer in here, go fuck off because you lack moral values. There, my team, you can ding that one on me already because I had to get that out. But, hackers are explorers. We are tinkerers. We are thinkers. And typically, we're the biggest privacy advocate. It's not because we want to hide what we're doing. It's because we believe that people typically have a fundamental right to privacy. And so the hacker community, you may see some YouTube channels about this. You may see some other things, and some documentaries that have recently come out. Some of those involve some of my closest, people I've worked with, and even some of my friends that I literally grew up with over decades. But the hacker community in general has been waging a war on scammers. Mm-hmm. And it is to that point that other people need to be made aware of this. We need other people to know what's going on, to know the stories. We're here to share some stories today. And what we need you to do is literally take these to your friends, to your family, to your coworkers, to bring awareness person to person. Because sometimes the best referral you can get is from another person, and that's what we need. That's what the world needs. Right now, there is so much trash going on and lives falling apart, and you will hear a glimpse of that today.
Yeah, 100%. So let's start off by telling a few stories. Sound good?
Yeah, I'm gonna lay a little framework to that. So
Okay.
a lot of these stories are gonna sound familiar. Maybe you've heard similar ones from us. Maybe you've heard others in the news. Maybe this has happened. This is our third time on keynote stage at IT Expo. And the first two, we had countless people, more than a dozen at both, pull me aside and say, you literally spoke to something I've dealt with. Or, hey, I'm dealing with this. And we know the kind of attendees here, lots of, business owners and, people that have financial means and have a lifestyle and are dealing with problems that they don't want their company. They don't necessarily want their spouse or their children to know. And so if a story that we share sounds familiar because it's happened to you, maybe it's happened to someone you know, maybe you've heard us share something similar. Some of what we shared earlier today, I see a couple of you were in that talk, will be shared here. So with that said, I'm also going to lay some groundwork that's really important because everyone goes, hey, how does a threat actor, everyone says hacker, it's a scammer. It's the financial motivation, but how do they have any information on me? Bro, your information is all over the web. I have my dark web team in the room we have access to billions and billions of records. And if you don't think your company has had leaked data, if you don't think you've had leaked data, does anyone here live in the United States? Raise your hand, literally. Do you realize that in most counties in every state, your home floor plan is public information?
Yeah, look at your
So I can just go figure out what your house looks like.
Blueprints.
Ooh, that's kind of weird to think about. What could someone do with that? A lot. And you'll hear some of those stories. The people reuse passwords. Dark web data is great for credential stuffing. And there's databases all over Tor and Telegram and everywhere else. There is mother's maiden name. You know some states' birth certificates are public record? Ooh, why? Why is that even a public record?
That's a common
We
security
want to talk about
question.
mother's maiden name?
Yeah.
You want to do identity theft? You want to talk about one of the largest, and this is old news, but it drives me nuts. I will not say the name of the place, but I reported the bugs to them 2 years prior. But there is a large company that had their database breached in the summer of 2024, almost 2 years ago now. And people still feeling that ripple effect because this place held data of driver's license numbers and social security numbers and full name and address and everyone that lives at that address. I actually, as a freelancer, worked on a platform that integrated to that database. If you know what it is, let's not say it out loud, but if you know, you know. It's easy to look up and find, but I can literally put in someone's name to that platform, and it will instantly cross-reference to pull all their driver's license that they've ever had in any state, all the places they've worked. Tell me everyone that's lived at the address where they live, pull all of their information and correlate that across. And now guess what? You want to talk about destroying someone's life?
Yeah.
You know, you wanted to go on this. I'm just taking this next part, sorry. So I'm kind of pissed off right now. Let me ask this. Who here loves their family?
Every hand should
Who
be
here
up, by
loves
the
their
way.
family more than their boss? Well, my boss is actually my daughter. I do work for her, but so I'm kind of like 6, 7. Anyways, so some of the people know what I'm about to ask because I had proposed this question earlier. If you had to make a choice of becoming an insider threat at your company, and I'm pacing now because I'm worked up and I'm nervous about what I'm gonna share, but it's the realities because this shit's happening every day. If you had the choice to become an insider threat because you're being extorted or potentially having your kids abducted and killed, what would you pick? Oh, yes, if you look, there is news articles on this. This shit is happening.
Can I give an example?
Yeah,
of
go
how?
ahead.
So this kind of seems outlandish, right? Like, how could something like this happen? We focus heavily on our business lives, our personal lives are kind of out of the picture. You know, the whole thing of keeping business and personal separate. And we have the filters, we have the technical know-how set up business-wise, but in your personal life, you have communications with other people, you have your social media platforms, you have, you know, some of us like gaming platforms that we're on, some of us dating apps that we're on. And all it takes is a couple lookups on LinkedIn. Does your company post your job position on their website? Some simple things like that, maybe even a few Facebook lookups and a conversation. And you and I are like in a conversation of like a romantic conversation online. Some of us are, I assume some of you guys are probably have online relationships. If you were in a situation where you sent something questionable, said something questionable, anything like that, can you imagine if a person you trust online comes to you and says, hey, I have this on you. I know you work for this company, I know your position, I know the things you probably have access to. If you do not deliver these things to me, I don't care how you do it, you can send it to me, you can take a picture of it with your personal phone and send it to me. If you don't do that, your family's at risk, your life is at risk, your kids are at risk. Because honestly, I can tell you what my answer would be. And I would imagine most of our answers in this situation would probably be similar.
Your boss might see you in the room, so don't raise your hand if
Don't raise your hand on
But
that
you know,
one,
we
okay?
all know what you're gonna do. You're gonna do the right thing,
Do the
whatever
right thing,
that may be.
guys. Do the right thing.
But you know, there's a news article, and it's not always just that. I'm gonna double dutch around a little bit. There was a news article came out not long ago. Top cybersecurity firm found to have an insider threat, leaking data to a known APT group because they decided to compensate him an extra $20,000 a year. So all he has to do is take his phone into his job and click, take a couple pictures here and there, and send it to him. Send it to the APT group, an extra 20 grand a year. It was just in the news like in January, that recent. Mm-hmm. And that's the Disney side of like just creating an insider threat, because the harm is to the customer and the company, and that's not even someone that's highly motivated to be malicious. Mm-hmm. There's so many instances that people I cannot name that has come to us that are facing those dark realities of being extorted. And sometimes how they go down, and do you want to share the story about our friend?
Oh, and her husband calling her?
Yep.
So a really good personal friend of mine. She is very interconnected. She's very, very, very good at her job. She does some pretty important things. So they try to stay very, very secure, very private. And there was one day that she was going about her business and she gets a call from her husband. And they're talking for like 10-ish minutes, talking about their day, catching up, planning things, getting things together. And he says something. He says, hey, I'm on the way to pick up our kids from school. I can't remember the name of their teacher. What was it again? She hung up. Fun little fact, her husband volunteers with the school and helps that teacher out pretty much once a week. So she knows for a fact that her husband knows the name of their kid's teacher. So whoever she was talking to was not her husband, if you guys didn't pick up on that. It was either another person, like a scammer.
Here's track back, it was Iran.
Yeah.
I will say it was Iran. But,
it was Iran. And they were targeting her, and it's scary. Think about that.
So, we're gonna get into something. There's no kids in the room, I hope, right? Raise your hand, no joke, if there's a kid in the room.
If one has came in. There was a kid earlier,
Because
that's
we're
why
about to talk about sex. All right,
Birds
I
and
said the
bees.
word. Sorry, Rich, I still love you, bro. So, sextortion, it's a huge, important thing. And you wanna see the value of it? How about we talk about lives? You know, one of the biggest things right now going on is suicide from sextortion. The number of teenagers and young adults committing suicide. Just, 2 months ago, it was on the news, and it wasn't spread far, which is horrible. But a young 15-year-old boy, literally like good kid in a conservative community, calls his dad his best friend, sports athlete, like all the stuff. He's online gaming, chats with someone, and they go back and forth a little bit, then they get into a private chat, some temporary pictures get shared, and in less than 3 hours, this boy went from his first message from the person to dead. Who here would ever think that their son or their daughter, their niece or nephew is gonna commit suicide? Yeah, their family didn't either. But you know what? Shame and embarrassment can hit every single one of us. And that's something we all need to talk about. That is a human problem. That's not a technology problem.
Exactly.
But the means of delivery is technology. And that is what scammers are doing today. Scammers are taking and manipulating human emotion and using it against us. We talk about BEC. We talk about phishing. We talk about bad links. But no one's talking about the next step of it. This is where it enters our personal life. Because we have filtering at work. We have those kind of things that's put in place. But how many people are permitted to take their phone into their job? Oh, pictures can be taken. Well, we don't want to necessarily take away phones in the job, because then we're going to have to take away remote work or hybrid work. Because now people, literally, I'm on the phone with a major telecommunications carrier, and then I hear a dog barking, and then they're like, oh, sorry, I'm working from home today. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then I was on the phone 2 days later with a major insurance provider. I'm talking about my automobile insurance, working from home. Let's think about this for a moment. You want to be able to take pictures? You don't even have to go to the office. Now, a lot of these places use virtualized environments and VDIs, virtualized desktop infrastructure. That's great. But it's connecting through the home router. Is there going to be a man-in-the-middle attack there? There's some technology here, but at the end of the day, people can be compromised. Has anyone had have your employers had these talks with you? What to do if this comes up? Have they established the framework that you have a safe place at work to go to report this? I bet not. Does all of you work in technology of some sort? Have you had these conversations with your family, with your wife, your husband, your mother or father, your son or your daughter? About 3 months ago, and I'm shameful to say this, and I'm going to share a very embarrassing moment. I'm with my dad. Some of you heard this a little bit ago. And he's over at my house, and he has his laptop, and we're going to do some stuff because I found out that database that I talked about was breached 2 years ago. The free set of data floating around online, he's one of the people in it. And I was like, man, we need to just shore some stuff. I want to check some stuff with you. And so he's there with his laptop, and he gets this notification, beep, right there on the bottom right corner above his time, and he's like, oh yeah, and clicks it. And I go, what was that for? And like, before like I realized what he was doing, because I'm fat and I'm also making food, but he downloads a Word doc, he opens it, and he has to fill out this form for his free Bahamas vacation he just got. And what happens when you open a Word doc that you gotta fill out? Can you fill it out? No, you gotta hit enable. Now what did he just do? Oh yeah. Thankfully he was on my network and I was like, got that one, we're good. And then it occurred to me, I go, Dad, how frequently do you get things like that? He goes, I fill them out every day. So maybe I'm preaching to the choir, maybe I should preach to myself, but this is such an important subject.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something I want to touch on before we wrap up, we have about 8-ish minutes. These scams, we talk about the data loss, we talk about the financial loss, and you know where I'm going with this, Jesse. You know exactly what to talk about. We know about the financial loss, we know about the data loss, and nobody talks about the actual harm it does to people's personal lives. I feel like we try to put measurable metrics on it so we can figure out how to do better next time. But it's like, somebody just lost their retirement. Somebody might have just lost their kid to this. Somebody across the world in places in Africa, in Asia, and even here in the US, and Russia, China, everywhere. This is a problem every single place. There's people getting harmed and damaged from this global epidemic of how bad scamming is getting. It's getting progressively worse. It hasn't gotten better because there's more technology, there's more resources. And I feel like if I knew somebody that I worked with and I knew that they were in this situation and either they got blackmailed, they lost their job, they lost their family or something like that, it would be difficult for me to be, oh, well, this percentage and this rate and this blah, 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 you know. There's no amount of money, there's no amount of data, there's nothing that can measure how hard that is of an impact. If you guys lost your retirement, or if you lost your kid, is there a number value? I mean, especially if like you lost like your kid or something, is there a number value that you could put on that? Is there a dollar figure that that's worth? No, that's worth everything. I mean, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, well, I actually have a couple things I want to share before we run out of time.
Please.
So, and I want to lay some concepts here because we only had 30 minutes and there's a bunch we wanted to cover, but and we're having to cherry pick. But at the same time, you may think of scammers as that guy that sits in their mother's basement, their parents' basement, the iconic hacker. We're just fancifully calling it a scammer online. Let me explain what a scammer setup looks like. So, does anyone here at your company, do you have a sales team? Literally, do you have a sales team? Yep. Only 2 people in the room, 3 people, 4 people. 4 people have a sales team. You have a marketing team? You have HR? You have all these different things. Do you realize that common setup in Asia is entire call centers based around scamming? And they have full setup. I mean, the whole, hey, here's the dark web data, let's bring it in, let's start evaluating. We're using AI to sort and process and figure out what's everyone's individual value. Hey, what's their dark web credential leak? What is their exposure metrics? Then they take that and convert that into a funnel. We're gonna just start now creating opportunities to lure them in. From that funnel, when they bite, you know what you do with a market qualified lead, right? You turn it to a you evaluate it for a sales qualified lead. What do you think they do? They do the same thing. The way your company makes sales and the way that works is so similar. It's not the concept you have of that hacker in a hoodie in their parents' basement, which I was. Nope.
He was, yeah.
I literally was in my parents' basement. The FBI basically kicked in my bedroom door in my parents' basement. Long story, it was 2 years ago. That was an embarrassing story to share. But anyways, that's not every scammer setup, because in other parts of the world, especially in Western culture, and I'm talking like US and Europe and Australia and other places, it is much different. The more traditional is direct selling and network marketing style. And I'm not talking about some of the large network marketing distribution companies that we know of here in America. I'm talking about, hey, I'm John from Google. Oh, I'm John from a tech company. I'm trying to leave names out of this. And you need a password reset your account was just logged into. And you call them out, this is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. And there's an MSP that most of you all would probably know, that a good friend of mine, that we sit and talk about this because he gets these calls every day. Because he had a dark web exposure that was highly valuable. And they've said it to him, they've said it to me, they've said it to tons of people. Hey, do you know anyone you want to refer? Mm-hmm. You get 50%, we get 50%. It's network marketing, direct sales. That is so common.
It is.
But then you go to the Caribbeans, and you go to Africa, and you go to some places like this.
And I've researched the crap out of this, so I'm gonna share it real quick before we wrap up. In Africa, and fraternities and brotherhoods are really, really common there. And there's a large sector of fraternities. This sounds insane, by the way, but it's their culture. There's a large set of fraternities that are actually more of just scam groups. They believe in different gods and things like this, and actually they do scamming because of their religion over there. And a lot of the funds actually go into things like human trafficking, human sacrifice, and drug and weapon trading.
No. You just said a word, and I don't know if anyone here caught it. Think about this for a moment. You put your money, you fall for that $50, $100, $500,000 scam. We're not talking enterprise level stuff here. We're talking mom and pop little, out of my pocket, I bought something, I paid something, I bought into, my Nigerian princess $500 fund.
Yeah.
So what's the value of that $500? In a lot of these areas, like $20 to $40 a week or even a month is big money. Mm-hmm. Do you know in some of these places for $1,000 you can buy a human?
Yeah.
That literally hurts me at a core to say that out loud. But that is where it's at. And then you get to some of these cartel style brotherhoods that
they genuinely believe the more that they scam, or the happier they'll make their gods. And
the better the sacrifice, the more money that they're gonna make in scamming.
Yeah.
And that's where these $50 and $100 pops come in. You know what? You want to talk about something else? I'm saying this right. I'm sorry to cut you off.
You're fine.
We have 55 seconds, but everyone's thinking the big scams are the ones that's out there of major enterprise, hundreds of thousands, millions. Do you realize a lot of scammers are purposely targeting lower numbers? Mm-hmm. We went around a third-party conference. This was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then we've done this now for several other conferences.
We won't have time to share that.
I know, but I'm going to in 30 seconds flat.
Okay.
And we found out that we asked everyone there, and on average, about 44% of people at a conference, when we asked the vendors at every kind of conference we've went to, has experienced ransomware, a scam, something of the sort, a ransom hack. The average payout that they're doing on these little mom and pops that don't even report it to IC3, so they don't have the numbers, is $20,000.
Yeah. Really quick, the reason we're here, because it sounds like we just delivered doom and gloom, the reason we're here is simply to spread awareness, because I'm pretty sure we've established this isn't a technical issue. Yes, it is delivered by the means of technology. However, it is a human problem, right? This is a human issue, and I'm susceptible to it, you guys are, he is, and what I've determined is the more that we know and the less that we realize others know, the more of a responsibility we have to share it with others to spread the word. Just like how your parents taught you how to lock up your house and drive a car, We need to start teaching people how to be safe on the internet, how to spread awareness about this stuff, because technology's not going anywhere. If anything, it's gonna grow, and the reason why this is such a big problem is because technology's brand new. None of us were raised with the know-how of how to navigate the internet. And the best way to do that is through education and awareness. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.